Hey everybody, this is the fourth here, and in this video I'm going to be introducing you to a basic delay plugin and what the different parameters are called and what they do. So in this video I will be taking a look at the Fruity Delay 2, but since it is such a simple delay plugin, the majority of the parameters will probably transfer to whichever delay you use. And your delay may have more options or less options, and it's definitely worth checking in the manual to learn more about those. But even if your delay plugin is really simple, like the Fruity Delay 2, it doesn't mean that you need something better. Because I personally use the Fruity Delay 2 all the time and really like the results that I get with it. Just because, whenever I don't need anything more advanced, it works perfectly fine. So let's start by looking at the delay parameters. So here is the delay and here is my sound going through that delay. And so you can hear that what a delay does is it kind of repeats your sound, but every time the sound repeats, the volume level of it is reduced by a certain amount. And this is kind of meant to emulate the delay sound that you'll get from yelling echo into a canyon, or that you might hear in stadiums from the PA system and all that. So let's take a look at the parameters. The Fruity Delay 2 is split into a few different sections. And so I'm just going to look at each of these sections starting from the left. And at the left is your input. And you have a pan and volume knob for your input. So the pan knob, you can see it doesn't affect the original hit, but it does affect that wet, delayed, repeating sound. So you can adjust the pan of the delay by using the pan knob. And you can affect the volume of the delay by using the volume knob on the input. And if I turn it all the way down, you can hear that there's no delay. But if I turn it up, you can hear that there is a repetition. And if you have the volume set to the default level, the original delayed hit will be played back at the same level as the dry signal, the original sound. So if you don't want that to happen, you can turn that down a bit. And really this just sets the starting level of that feedback. And you can control other parameters of the feedback in the feedback section. So the volume knob in the feedback section is a little bit differently from the input volume knob. Instead of changing the overall volume of that feedback, it changes the difference in volume between each successive hit. So if you want to last a bit longer, and if you want the level drop between each hit to be a little bit less, you can turn that up. Or if you want it to decay a lot more quickly and the differences between each hit to be a lot larger, you can reduce it quite a bit. And the cut knob is a cutoff frequency for the feedback. And it works in the same way as the volume knob does, but instead of changing the volume on each hit, it changes the cutoff level. So by default, it's all the way up, and there is no filter applied. But if I start to turn that down, you can hear that the delayed sound is filtered. And with each hit, it gets filtered more and more. And you can really hear this if I turn the feedback volume all the way up and have the cut about in the middle here. And you also have a few panning options for that feedback. And these are normal, invert, and p-pong. And p-pong stands for ping pong. So if I turn the input panning to the left, you can hear that the feedback plays more to the left. But if I turn on the invert option, you will hear that instead of playing in the left, it inverts that stereo and it will play in the right. And the ping pong option makes each successive hit of that feedback signal swap the left and right channels. So you'll hear that it will play in the left and then the right and then the left and then the right and so on. And now we have the time settings. And just the time knob sets the time of the delay. So the Fruity Delay 2 automatically sets the delay time based on the tempo of the project, but certain other delay plugins may have the option to select whether it's tempo based or set in milliseconds, and others will only allow you to set in milliseconds. So that's important to know. And the time knob just allows you to set the time between each successive hit. So you can hear if I set it pretty high, it takes a while for each of those hits to play. But if I set it pretty low, each hit plays a lot more quickly. And then you have the time stereo offset knob. And what this does is it will delay either the left or the right channel a little bit extra compared to the originally set delay time. So you can hear if I turn this up quite a bit, you can hear that the sound will hit first in the left speaker and then in the right, because I'm delaying that right channel by turning this to the right some. I'm delaying the right channel a little bit extra. If I turn it up more, you can hear it a little bit better. And then if I turn it to the left, it will be the opposite. It will delay the left a little bit extra, so you will hear the right first and then the left. So this can be used to add a little bit of stereo width to your delay effect, either by having them play at completely separate times, or just by kind of using the Haas effect on the delay by only delaying one of the channels a little bit extra. And so I've used this occasionally while producing to get a little bit wider of a stereo image from that delay. And now finally we have the dry knob, which works the same way as the dry knob in other effects. It just sets the level that the original dry signal is allowed to come through the plugin. So by default it's set to this level. And if I want to, I could increase the level of the original signal, or I could decrease it. And if I want to use the delay on a send track, I could decrease it all the way to 0. And then you'll have only that delayed sound. So those are the different parameters of the Fruity Delay 2, and like I said, the majority of them will transfer to other delay plugins because they are kind of the basics. But if you use a different delay plugin and it's laid out a lot differently, I definitely recommend reading the manual to see exactly how that delay plugin works.